Savako! I'm trying. Oh my.
That was a beautiful way to start this show.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. All right. Greetings, fellow Armchair Imagineers. Tiki here.
And Goofy Yuck Yuck.
And oh my God, welcome to the third results show for So You Want to Be an Imagineer, season 20. I almost called it season 3 because this is project 3.
We're taking it way back now.
Right. All right. So You Want to Be an Imagineer, season 3, the bad season with the creepy co-host who would always bitch about his love life to 14-year-old me. Yeah, that's an area I want to go back to.
Wow.
Anyways, how y'all doing?
Vault, we're unlocking Tiki's vault tonight.
Oh my God. We're all going to Tiki's World's Fair. All right. Okay, so just shouting out, we got Pi, LEB, OSU Phantom, Wandering Mudkip. Do we even know who that is? He says Disney Warrior. Okay, great. Okay, yeah. Great to have you, Disney Warrior. Cool. Let's see. Also, we have Shannon in the chat, Keeper Colby. Nice to have y'all. It's going to be brutal. This is going to be hard.
We spent 30 minutes on the show talking before the show and came up with a decision about 2 minutes before we went live. So
no, not two. About 10
okay. We had to. Okay.
We went live. Give us some credit. I was literally writing out the next prompt 2 minutes before we went.
That's fair.
All right. We also got Monkey here. Okay. So later on in the podcast, I'm going to be bringing on Casey Michaelanus. I'm not sure if I'm saying his last name right. His last name's tricky for me. But he is the co-host of the Prometheus web series, which I competed in during season 1, and I did not do well, but whatever. That's fine. But he is going to be coming in because he is an Avatar fan. He's seen Way of Water twice. He'll be coming in to give some feedback on the actual projects. Oh God! Before that, we have to. Monkey, I'm sorry, Goofy. Do you want to just start here? Do you want to just kick us off?
Okay, so we're actually starting with the with results and everything first because I'm probably not going to be on for the entire podcast, and since I missed the last one, I want to be here to break all your hearts tonight.
Oh God!
So we can, I guess, go ahead and get started if you're ready with all the fun that we've got in store.
Oh God, it's not going to be fun, but yeah.
with all the things that we have coming up.
Okay. All right. Well, we should probably start by announcing the winners of the actual project itself. Now, keep in mind, this is going to be a double elimination. So one person from each team will be eliminated. The catch here is that the winning team, both the project leader and the PO MVP, are both going to be safe next time around. So the project leader for this round is essentially going to have a bonus PO MVP and be safe from elimination the next round, along with his choice for PO MVP.
Right.
All right. And just by saying his instead of hers, I just basically revealed. Yeah, well done. So
we are very professional here on So You Want to Be an Imagineer.
All right. Team Chapek, I do really like a lot of elements of your project. I think that I actually think on some level it was weirdly slightly more experimental with some of the different elements, like having the big coaster sort of in the middle of the land. That's very different for a Disney park. And then also the indoor sections. But yeah, Team Eisner is going to go ahead and take the victory this time around.
Yeah, you kind of took the words out of my mouth with what my thoughts were of Team Chapek. I thought that a lot of what they did was really interesting. We're going to get more into it, obviously, but I was very interested in their approach because it's like I feel like Eisner did a more it's hard to say traditional since there's only one World of Avatar right now, but like they definitely went more the current World of Avatar route. And Chapek, tried to go out of the box, and I think some of it worked really well. It's just Eisner was, and they went insane this round, so it's tough to not give them the win regardless. So yes, Eisner was our winner, and do you want me to go ahead and announce who's PO MVP?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, okay. So winning PO MVP this week, being safe next week, is OSU Phantom. Congratulations.
That's right. So OSU Phantom, along with Ace Astro, will both be safe from elimination next week. All right. And so, yeah, we will talk more about the actual project side of things when Casey gets here. And also when we kind of announce the 2 eliminations. But let's go ahead and announce the eliminations. So on Team Chapek side, this is going to be the 14th place finisher. As a reminder, 16th place went to Magic Kingdom Forever. 15th place went to Basket Buddy. So Goofy, who do we have as nominees?
So our nominees for elimination from Team Chapek were Imagineer Brandon and the Sorcerer's Apprentice.
Mm-hmm. And so unlike last round, where I did feel like there were a couple situations where the project leader, depending on the nominations, could have potentially gotten voted out, I don't think it was like that at all this round, because I really think that both of the project leaders, Tegan and Ace, both really stepped up to the plate. And that's not to say that the project leaders before that haven't. Certainly not at all. But I mean, it was very much on both teams. It was a situation where we just could not foresee any reason to get rid of the project leaders.
Right.
Okay, so you want to talk about kind of like some of the ups and downs that we've had with Sorcerer's Apprentice?
Yeah, I can a little bit. So the Sorcerer's Apprentice is a player who has mostly done individual projects before coming into this game, and they've had contributions that have been fairly significant, but a lot of the times it does seem like they're still more disengaged from their team. And so it's kind of tough sometimes to evaluate, because this is a team competition. You are competing for yourself, but at the same time, it is still a team competition. And so it's been kind of interesting evaluating. Then there's also been the like I said, but some of the time it's just been it's come across more as inactivity than anything else, even though they have put in strong work. It's just it's tough for us because we're trying to keep up with we're trying to keep up with brainstorming threads, keep up with activity, and also keep up with your who actually did what. Speaking of, please make sure to continue putting credit somewhere visible, because Eisner was very difficult to track down who did what whenever we get to that. So please put credits where somewhere in your project. But yeah, so that's kind of where we were at with Sorcerer's Apprentice, at least.
Yeah, a couple other notes on him. I actually think out of all the newer people in the cast, out of all the newer people who aren't Tegan and Space on that team, I actually think Sorcerer's Apprentice arguably had the strongest first round, because they really did go out of their way to contribute to both the design of the land itself and also some of the walk around entertainment. But he was absent for virtually the entirety of Project 2. And he did come back and he did offer an explanation. But the problem is, as far as I could tell, it seemed like he basically just cranked out his side of the project very early on into the process, and honestly just sort of dipped after that.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like you want to balance of like, if you're done with your part, it is what it is, but like try to still stay involved in the game,
or at the very least just keep up with, just let your team members just know that you still exist.
Right.
And that's something. So Imagineer Brandon, I would argue that Brandon has not had as major contributions as Sorcerer's Apprentice overall, but he has been a little bit more present throughout the 3 rounds. I feel like Brandon can definitely get into that trap of sort of falling behind and not really engaging with the team as much as he should be. But I think this round was his strongest one yet. And he was really, like I noticed in the brainstorming, he was really the one who was championing that table service restaurant. And I think the table service restaurant ended up becoming one of the most impressive elements of the project.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I really liked the restaurant that he created. I think that, you know, Brandon is also a newer player to this game, and I think that he's done a good job of, you know, integrating with the teams. You know, it doesn't feel like he's out of place at all, which is,
right,
you know, really important in an all-star season.
So with that in mind, officially in 14th place, we're going to be eliminating Sorcerer's Apprentice.
Sorry.
Yeah, he had a good run, but at the same time, I really don't think he's too engaged. Like, I mean, I don't want to say this as like a discriminatory sort of thing, because there's other people in the cast who aren't here now, but he's not here now. I'm sorry.
Where are you going to defend yourself?
I really don't mean to sound like a jerk about that, but I just like, I don't think I've ever seen him in the live shows. Like, it's just one of those issues where he just was not as actively engaged as he could have been.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, obviously, we're not going to punish you for not showing up to our fantastic shows, but you know, it is just the whenever it's really close, activity sort of goes a long way,
right?
Because even if you're not credited with something, you know, like in the project, you may have had some sort of influential voice or something that, you know, kind of went a long way towards helping your entire team out, which is something that we do have to take into consideration, especially earlier on, whenever we're still in the team phase before the merge. And that's something that's really important.
Yeah, like I feel like in the team phase, I mean, honestly, the way I kind of view it is like these past few projects, we've kind of had to look at everyone's like collective, you know, everyone's collective work throughout the first 3 projects. And then I feel like once we move into the swap, it's going to be, we'll view it through a little bit more of a different lens of like, we can probably view all of their contributions just as like pre-swap and post-swap, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And then once we move into the merge, it'll be like, okay, what did they do this project? What did they do pre-merge? What have they done up to this project in the merge? So there's going to be different points where, you know, we're going to be looking for different things.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I mean, we're still in the very early stages of this game, so things are going to change, but yeah.
And speaking of things changing, are you ready to rip off the Band-Aid and eliminate the first player who's really a power player one way or another, no matter which of these 2 we actually do end up eliminating?
Yeah, this one's like I said, this was the one that we actually really wrestled with, and I told you, because we were messaging about this a few hours ago, and I was like, let's just hop on early and talk this out, because I don't think we're going to figure it out.
Totally fair, yeah.
So it was I don't like this job sometimes.
You're the one that volunteered for this.
I know, I'm crazy. I volunteered. You know what? I missed the forums.
If you did say anything, Space would probably be co-hosting with me.
So I'll go ahead and say, I guess, who our nominees are, and then we can talk about them a little bit. So our first nominee for elimination was Monkey. Yeah. And our second nominee was Theme Park Priest.
Yes. Oh boy. Ace is like, next elimination is Peregrine.
Holy cow. Well, it's funny, right? Because like it's funny because whenever you see these names and you're like, what? How is this possible? These are the two, and then you look at what everybody else did, and you're like, oh, there just wasn't a good option here.
No, this is very much a situation where there was not a good option. Absolutely.
Yeah, if we knew whenever we decided to make this the double elimination week that how good Eisner was going to do this week, we definitely wouldn't have done it. Like, this is yeah.
All right, Koski, fine. I'll read your roast. Koski Productions says, here's the best Avatar Way of Water ride to give the feeling you get from watching the movie. You should have a man read the dictionary to you, but in the background have an amazing amazing imagery. Boom, roasted. All right.
Oh man.
So yeah, you and I took a good 20 minutes to talk through the pros and cons of these two.
Mm-hmm. We did.
Would you like to weigh out some of them? I mean, we have our decision already, folks. I want to just make this very, very clear before we go any further that the decision was made before we even went live, and there's nothing that's going to be said that's going to waver that at all this time.
Yeah. I promise we were like very thorough in our evaluations of these two.
We were.
So like, we're not going to find new stuff now. Okay, so it's funny because both of them have had kind of mirroring games to this point, I think, in a lot of ways. In the first project, Priest was very active. You look at the credits. Again, this was the first round. There weren't credits for some reason. In the credits for the first project, you had Priest doing much more than Monkey. Moving to the second project, and Monkey is the PM, and it's kind of flipped in that Monkey is doing more than Priest. And then
Monkey did a little bit more than Priest. The one thing that Priest did work on was something that Monkey also worked on.
Right.
And then we're also factoring in the fact that Monkey was project leader that round, which I think, even though he didn't technically win that project, I still think just being project leader in general, unless you really mess it up, which he did not, I think that still gives you some points.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, the thing is that what they worked on together was songs.
Mm-hmm.
And since there isn't anything more specific about which songs or anything, or what they, that's a team thing, so you can't really judge that individually. So from that round, basically you take out that the edge that Monkey had was that, he had more contribution as project manager. And then you get into this most recent round, and Monkey did the majority of the e-ticket ride. He did about 2/3 of it. And Priest did basically all of the Omnimover attraction. So again, pretty similar contribution levels. So just looking at the projects alone, it's like, what do we do?
I love how the chat has like quieted the hell up.
Right? Yeah, nobody's talking now. Like, I'm like trying to be very measured in the way that I'm talking about this because again,
no, you're doing a good job. You're doing a good job.
I don't think that there's an obvious answer to this. So the other thing that we took into consideration, like we had to do with Team Chapek, was kind of the activity levels. The chat's talking now a little bit. That's funny. We had to take into consideration activity levels a little bit, and one thing that we noticed is that Monkey tended to be more active than Priest. Priest had a lot going on this week, and whenever you're splitting hairs, like things matter, and we're not asking anybody to give their full lives to the game or anything, but like it is kind of like if there's a tough decision, we do have to give some weight to that. So with that in mind, I think that's pretty much everything that we considered.
Yeah, just the fact that because honestly, throughout the week, I got to admit, Eisner was doing so much brainstorming that I was having a hard time keeping up with it. Mm-hmm. But a lot of the times when I get the private message notification that there was a new post in Eisner's thread, it would be Monkey. And then also Monkey also jumped into the other thread that they were working on with the boat ride itself. So even though Monkey and Priest had basically a very similar level of activity as far as their actual contributions to the finished product, I think that Monkey was pretty clearly more engaged in the team and the actual brainstorming side of things.
Yep. Yeah, that's kind of the conclusion that we came to. So it's unfortunate, but in 13th place is Theme Park Priest.
Oh no, the Priest goes out in 13th place.
Oh geez. I didn't think. Okay, never mind. Monkey's eliminated.
No.
Sorry. I didn't think any new information would come out, and there it is.
All right, so Monkey, I'm sorry to give you a heart attack. You can breathe easy. Yeah, Priest.
Very sorry.
Hold on. There's one element of Priest that.
I swear, if you have new information now.
No, it's not new information. It's just I didn't really consider if we should be saying it on air or not. Hold on.
Okay. Trying to think if there's anything else that needs to be said about this. Yeah, I don't know. It was tough. Ace, like, next time, like, put two people together that are, like, further apart. Like, this was rough. Yeah. I feel bad about it because, like I said, you wouldn't expect somebody like Priest, who was like a top 3 finisher in season 19, to be out so early. But that's the nature of.
All right. Do you see the private chat? I'm wondering if we should like announce that on air or not.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think?
I'm going to be honest. I cut out, I think, so I didn't hear what you said.
Do you see what I have in the private chat?
Oh, let me look. Secret stuff. We should have talked about this beforehand.
Well, you know what? We were talking about a lot of stuff beforehand.
Is that something that's usually done?
Honestly, I think this is the first time we've been in a situation like this where, like, the person eliminated has it.
I would lean towards no, because that, like, I feel like that's kind of a slightly unfair thing to not have earned or something. I mean, I know I didn't really earn it. It was given, but, like, I don't know.
Okay, but should we reveal that, like...
Oh, yeah, we should reveal it, yeah.
That they had it?
Yeah.
Okay, so, another big twist with Priest. He had the Diamond PO MVP, or at least one of them. And he actively decided to not use it this round.
Yeah.
So that's like, I'm not going to say that entirely like fed into my decision of like, oh, well, if he's not going to use it, then, but I mean, it's a situation where if Priest wanted to save himself this round, he had the option to.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate. Well, I mean, I will say now that he's been eliminated, I'm not going to say who else was up for elimination, but because I don't know if that was ever discussed, but he was also nominated for elimination the week prior and chose not to use it. And
right. So it seemed like he was really trying to hold on to it as long as he could.
Yeah, and, that's the gamble you take, and yeah. So that's kind of rough. There's not a. He definitely could have saved himself. It's just that he thought that he would win that gamble, and yeah.
All right. So that's
surprise.
I legitimately think that this is the first time that I could be wrong. I'd have to go back and check, but I legitimately think this is the first time that somebody has been voted out holding a Diamond PO MVP,
which is a little. Well, it kind of makes the game interesting. So,
because usually people who hold it, they'll either use it to make a big move to take out, 2 really big targets, which, I mean, in this case, I kind of feel like literally everyone on Eisner would have filled that role.
Right.
Or, you would use it in the case that you get nominated to save yourself. So,
right, exactly.
Yeah. Well, Priest, I am very sad to see you go. You seem to be really, really active at the start. And I do think this is a situation... I feel like it's kind of like a mini situation of what happened with Basket Buddy, where I'm sure he would have loved to have done more, but wait,
Real
you
life.
can use the PO. Yes, LEB, you can use the PO MVP on yourself.
That's like 80% of the point of it.
Right. You can also use it to save other people, but yeah, you can also use it to save yourself. So just as a reminder, because there is one other Diamond PO MVP floating around. So whoever has the other Diamond PO MVP, they have the power to change one or both of the nominations from one of the teams at a single point in the game.
Yeah.
So this could be pre-merge, it could be post-merge, all the way up until the round before semifinals.
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Koski, I'm busy, man. I'm sorry. I'm trying to keep up with your roast, but this is important business we're dealing with here. I'm sorry, bro. All right,
yeah,
I'll do another Koski roast.
Yeah.
Let's see. Koski says, "Rough is the noise Clifford the big red dog makes. Clifford the big red dog is red. Red is a bigger color than blue. Clifford Avatar, boom, roasted." Monkey says that's why James Cameron can't go to a roast. He's busy making the next Avatar.
Yeah, exactly.
Ace says, well, I'll use mine on somebody else anyways because I'm a true ally.
That was...
Wait, LEB. Wait, yeah. LEB, are you... Okay, shit, is she like...
There's like 5 people that are saying they have PO MVP right now.
That's true. That's true. So, yeah, LEB, I don't know if you have one or not. Who knows?
Well, I mean, we do know, but...
But Goofy, we don't.
We don't know. We know, but we don't know. So do you want to go ahead and get into the other big game-related thing?
Yeah, let me message Casey and tell him we're ready for him because he said he'd be on soon. Yeah, so let's wait. And actually, there's one other thing I kind of wanted to because we're gonna do the team swap and we're gonna reveal who's in the team swap, but
yeah.
Okay, good. OSU and Ace are split up because they both have immunity. That's all I cared about.
Okay, cool.
All right, would you like to reveal the new teams?
Yeah. Oh, jeez. Look at that last comment. It's a good thing that didn't matter.
Let me see. I can. Yeah. Oh God. Ellie, I don't know what you're doing.
That's funny. Okay. All right. So we do have 2 new teams. It is Project.
New teams, drop your buffs. You get fresh new buffs. No, you don't. But how cool would it be if you actually did?
That'd be awesome. All right. So we've got Team New Eisner and Team New Chapek. We really went out on a limb here with these names.
I know, right?
All right. So I'll just go down the order. So on Team New Eisner, we're going to have Pie, Monkey, Ace, Tegan, Brer Panther, and Shannon and the Magic.
Mm-hmm.
On Team New Chapek, we're going to have Imagineer Brandon, LEB, Disney Dad, OSU Phantom, Peregron, and Space.
All right.
Yeah.
And let me be the first to reveal the prompt, which was literally just dropped on the forum like a couple seconds ago.
I'm so excited for this prompt.
Hot off the presses, hot off the presses, hot off the presses. Okay, Casey says he's on his way, so hopefully he'll be here soon.
Cool.
Okay, Project 4 is going to be called Synergy, the Musical.
Woo!
All right. Allow me to read the prompt. I love this image, by the way.
It's so funny.
I just love the image of, like, Scar and the lawyers just casually munching on the... like the generic Mickey ear snacks. Yes, let us watch Simba fills in for Meredith. All right. Okay, musical projects are a tried and true staple of this game. And with no surprise, we'll be incorporating one into this season as well. There's a twist, though. For this season, because of the insane focus on synergy and brand IP that Disney has been striving for, you can't just make a musical based on any movie or attraction. Oh no, that wouldn't be enough synergy. What we're looking for is a full-blown Disney theatricals Broadway musical based around a movie or TV show produced exclusively for Disney Plus. So that's the twist. You got to have something that's exclusively made for Disney Plus. And I know at least half of you are thinking like, oh, that's not too bad. Disney Plus has some exclusive Marvel content, exclusive Star Wars
just
content.
wait.
But Tegan has opened the vault. Goofy, why don't you take this one?
As a reminder, Tegan's new team on New Eisner is Pie, Monkey, Ace, Tegan, Brer Panther, and Shannon and the Magic. In opening Walt's Vault, Tegan has unlocked a very unfortunate curse on her team where you cannot use any Marvel or Star Wars Disney Plus properties.
You know what? I even extended it further than that.
You did? Holy cow!
No Marvel, no Star Wars, no Pixar, and no Walt Disney Animation Studios.
So good luck. This is going to be a lot of fun. I'm like so excited to see what this is.
All right. Goofy, do you have a way to screenshot Casey? I see you there. I'll let you in just a sec. Goofy, do you have a way to screenshot the projects themselves? Do you think you could do that for us?
Well, I'm on my phone because of the whole
shoot. Okay, my
connection
bad.
thing. Yeah.
Okay, well, let's go ahead and introduce Casey. Casey, my man, how you doing?
I am doing well, just very tired, but that's not out of the norm. How are you guys today?
We're doing great, man. You popped in just in time. We just got all the uncomfortable stuff out of the way, the eliminations and whatnot.
Yeah, I'm doing better now that that's over.
Yeah. So Casey, before we come on, why don't you tell everyone a little about yourself? And ironically enough, Casey, I think your biggest fan from this season, as far as like the person who watches Prometheus the most and like talks about it the most, literally just got voted out.
Oh, that's a shame. I would very much
Casey,
like
why
to
don't you
meet
tell
this
us about
person.
yourself and Prometheus?
So my name's Casey. I host a reality competition, all online called Prometheus. It is a 2-day game where we have contestants from all around the world compete in competitions, play strategic gameplay and social gameplay where you have to befriend others and ultimately vote out anyone not working with you so you can make yourself get to the end. You know, if you watch anything like Big Brother or Survivor, think of something along the lines of that. But it's heavy on the Greek mythology theme. But yeah, Tiki was actually a contestant in season 1. That's how I met Tiki and how I've come to be on his podcast and other things. But yeah, if you get a chance, check us out. Definitely check out season 2. It's really good. And we're at the end of season 2 right now. We only have like 2 more episodes left, but youtube.com/Prometheus_web series. We're also on Facebook as well.
All right. Thanks for that, Casey. So Casey, really quick. Also, guys, I just want to announce to anyone watching live who's playing the game. I'll be launching the brainstorming threads for the new teams as soon as this is over. So just hang tight with the brainstorming threads, and please do not make them without me. So just wait until this is over, and then I will get right on that. Because, okay, let's see. Goofy, how should we do this? Like, should we give Ace's team the lead as far as like putting their thread up first because Ace won the project, or what? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, we could do that. That makes sense.
Okay. All right, so Casey, what do you think of So You Want to Be an Imagineer just as a whole? I know, like, we're basically bringing you in as someone who's much more intimately familiar with the, the Survivor side of things, and you've been involved a lot with the Facebook online reality game crowd, and So You Want to Be an Imagineer has more or less kind of been its own thing. So I would like to get kind of just your overall takes on the game from what you know of it.
So yeah, I mean, I guess that's the thing. I have an outsider's perspective, in a sense, I guess a fresh perspective, obviously versus someone like you, Tiki. But it is simultaneously very overwhelming and also insanely impressive. I wasn't really sure what to expect. I don't really frequent any forums at all. I mean, the closest thing to any sort of forum that I frequent is like Reddit. So, getting like a million notifications a day, kind of trying to, keep up on the projects and stuff like that, while also just really busy in my life was very, it's very overwhelming. But every now and again, I'd read a piece, when I'm trying to get caught up where I'm like, whoa, that's like really cool, really creative. And I 100% see myself as a creative individual. I went to film school. I've always, ever since I was a kid, I've always done something creative, whether it been creating stories or making, videos or I don't know, just like anything. So then when we had like these finalized projects, I first opened up, Team Chapek, I believe that's how you say the name. Chapek?
Yeah.
Okay, Chapek. And I was expecting it to kind of be like, maybe like a few pages worth of stuff, maybe a picture here, a picture there. But man, when I started to go into that, I was like thoroughly impressed.
Okay, so let's go ahead and start with Team Chapek then.
Yeah, I mean, so a lot of information here. Sorry if I'm like not on the up and up, because like I don't know what some of this terminology even means, if I'm being completely honest. But I mean, from the context clues, I more or less get the idea of what they're trying to go off of. So actually, let me just pull up their project really quick, so I'm not just trying to like, talk out of my ass about things.
Sure. Goofy, any thoughts about Chapek?
So like what I said whenever we were talking earlier is like, I think that they did a really good job of making things very distinct from the Animal Kingdom version of the world of Avatar, in that it's a lot more like physical things that aren't just like, just nature vibes. There's like a lot of other things going on. And that was something that I was really interested in, because that's a huge contrast between Team Chapek and Team Eisner. And I think they did a really good job with it.
Yeah, for sure. So Casey, I know you haven't been to Disneyland, but one of the big elements of this project was the fact that the space that they're working with to make this this land happen is essentially like the dead zone of Disneyland. It's like, Goofy, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure it takes up like a good 20% of the overall park footprint or something ridiculous like that.
Yep, I was going to say it's about a quarter of the park.
Yeah, and it's literally just like a kid's go-kart ride, a very, very bad like Star Wars promotional hallway thing, which is the Innovations building. And I mean, really, that's about it. You just have the railroad station, you have the Nemo subs, and you have the monorail, and that's it. And that whole that collection of stuff takes up almost a fourth of the overall park. And when you look at, other lands at Disneyland, where like Fantasyland, for example, where they are just, Fantasyland has like over a dozen attractions, and that's not even like the biggest land in the park. So essentially the idea was to have this be kind of like a better use of the real estate. All right. So Casey, overall thoughts on Chapek?
So I think I'm not 100% sure what exactly you want me to get into. So like overall, I first off love the presentation of their project, and I mean that in the sense of like their website versus doing I guess like the like booklet that the other team did. Very much appreciate that. Makes it really easy to navigate every piece of their overall design. I think, and it's a lot of information between both of them. I, in a sense, appreciate the details yet brevity of Chapek. And I was just really, really impressed. And this might be a stupid detail to get hung up on, but I really appreciate actually the map that you have up here, because coming into this, not knowing really anything about this game prior to when I started, like, you know, going into the forums, and also not knowing anything about Disney World, Disney Park, any of these types of theme parks in general, I love that what they did was not only did they describe how they were going to reutilize the land, but you can literally see in this map the actual map of the real land, and they drew over it and how I guess they were going to reassess it. Am I incorrect, or am I correct about that? That's the actual land?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, that's like, you know, like if I was playing this game, I don't know what I would ever come up with. But I like I said, I mean, that right there, you know, to pitch the idea to someone who has no clue what they're talking about, it makes it much easier for me to actually visualize what they're pitching.
All right. So Casey, of course, overall, I just kind of want to go through with these projects sort of like some of the big things that stood out to you. For me personally, you know, I'm a coaster guy, Casey. And so I really appreciated how they had a thrill-centric coaster in the middle of Disneyland. And it was a bold move. And I think, Goofy, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you don't necessarily like, that doesn't necessarily vibe with you as well as it vibes with me.
Yeah, I liked the idea behind it, but I feel like a lot of it was like basically saying, "Oh, we're gonna make it work really well and make it seem like it's, you know, like make it fit in really well with the rest of the park," and then it didn't actually feel like it did that. And so I was like, you know, coming into Pandora with the expectation of more naturalistic things, and then it's like, oh, we're gonna have a roller coaster like over your head the entire time. And I get what they're going for as far as like a banshee flying around, but like there's not a whole lot you can do about the actual structure of a roller coaster track, you know.
I mean, to a certain extent, I hear what you're saying, but at the same time, I feel like, you know, to tell you the truth, one of the things that actually really stuck out to me about Velocicoaster, Casey, you'll have to apologize. We're going to just kind of dive into some terminology here.
You're good.
Is that like Velocicoaster really doesn't overwhelm the skyline of that park, even though it is, by all intents and purposes, just a roller coaster. And I think they did really good placemaking to make that happen, because the things that really should be dominating that skyline of that park are the, you know, the more iconic buildings and stuff like that. So for me, and I mentioned this in my written feedback, but I really love the moment where you crest over the top of that first hill and you have that bird's eye view of Disneyland. And that's something that we've really never gotten from any other Disneyland attraction, at least in a thrilling capacity.
Right.
And I don't know. I really think that it would be something that could potentially be in the park's wheelhouse.
No, it's
so Casey, what do you think of the coaster?
I actually really like the coaster. I'm not going to lie. I actually got like completely lost in my own mind, like really trying to visualize like how this would look. And granted, there were like 3D like renderings, obviously on the website as well, but I was still trying to like visualize like how it would look in reality, like very much thinking back to the first Avatar film and like, you know, the ride that he and Natiri went on, Sam's character. Sully. But you know, so like I actually thought that was really cool. But I just kept trying to like overall visualize, especially when I was thinking about that ride, like how ambitious, like this whole thing is and if it could really be something that would like fit, because I don't really know how large this land is. So I was thinking to myself, like, is this ride going to be like a super short ride? Especially when I think they talked about, like at one point the ride's going to go up to like 70 miles. Or was it 70 miles? 51 miles I see right here, 51 miles per hour. So I was just like, I feel like it's going to be like a minute like ride. And I feel like a ride like this, you should like take in the beauty of like what is supposed to be the land of Pandora, and I guess through that to overlook the entire park.
Right.
Overall, love the idea. I love the idea of it, and it actually got me really excited.
Yeah. So another element of the project that I really liked, Casey. What do you think of the whole idea of the using? And I know that, granted, I know you're not as familiar with the park, so you might not be able to picture it in your mind's eye as well. But what do you think of the idea of using that research station as kind of like an indoor hub to the rest of the land, and kind of having the land sort of have a half indoor, half outdoor vibe? Because that's really one of the things that stuck out to me.
Which part exactly was that? So I can just double check to the page.
Oh, shoot. Goofy, do you have it? It's
yeah, I'm looking for it right now. Is it?
Might be in realism, actually.
Yeah, I think that's, yeah, it is, I think.
Realism, double check. Oh, you're talking about with like the Venture Star spaceship?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought that was really cool, because I mean, it makes sense that, we look at the movie, for instance, and I really love the Avatar franchise. But you look at that, and that's literally how they got to Pandora. So I love the idea of like, this is your like, welcome to Pandora, and this is the valley in which you're going to be spending your time. And I love that as its like central hub, because it just makes the most sense if it's supposed to be this I forget what they were calling it, the Ark Expeditions or whatever. It's like you have this company that's taking you to Pandora, and I love, or Alpha Centauri Expeditions. But yeah, I love that idea. I think it makes sense on multiple levels, but even more importantly, it makes sense within the world of Avatar.
Yeah. All right. Any other elements of the project stick out to you? We don't have to spend a ton of time going over them.
So, okay, I'm trying to figure out how to say this. I guess this was one difference that I felt versus the other team's project. If we look at the restaurants and shops, I loved that, the one shop, what was it? The Surf Shack. I love the idea of it, and I love that they had a menu. I thought that was like really cute, really gave me a feel of like, oh, cool, if I'm going to be here, like this is the menu that I'm looking at.
I just like the idea with the Surf Shack of how most of the land is indoors, and so the Surf Shack is really like one of your big opportunities to kind of take in the outdoor vistas of the land.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that's totally cool, and I love the little like story behind it too. But I do feel like with the Surf Shack, well, I mean, just the restaurants and shops in general, I feel like this was something that I didn't connect with as well as the other teams. I almost feel like this might be their weakest. Am I able to say that this is like their weakest point in my mind?
Yeah. No, you're able to say that. That's totally fine.
Sorry if like, I don't mean to like
podcast.
offend anyone, but like, I just feel like it was the weakest point. I mean, there's still like individual details of it that I really liked, especially like, go to the shop and get your own like realistic like Navi portrait. This is what you would, look like. But then, like I said, it's just like, when I was first reading like the Surf Shack, because I keep coming back to the Surf Shack, like I was looking at the pictures and I was like, oh, this is their idea for it. But then it does very clearly say like right underneath the pictures, like, this is what's inspiring our design, is these actual real like Surf Shacks. So like my mind wasn't, the picture that my mind was painting was not as clear as it was the others. So I definitely feel like the restaurants and shops are probably their least, the weakest point of their projects.
All right, that's fair. Okay, so yeah, let's move on to to Team Eisner's, and it's interesting, Casey, because people in the chat, they're saying, because websites are actually one of the go-to project formats for people. Like, it's really easy to use, it's really easy to work with, it's easy for the judges to read, and everyone's kind of like, yeah, we were stressing out about like, oh, is a website enough? And so people are saying it's nice to see your actual excitement over doing a website.
Hold on. Okay, I see. I had on private chat, didn't see the comments. So like now I'm seeing everything right here. And thank you, Theme Park Priest, and hello, Mist. But yeah, I mean, I will just say before we officially go on to Eisner, if that's how you say it, I believe that is.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, I think the idea of the website, it's just like, it feels like an online portfolio. You know, it feels like an online portfolio. I feel like that's very real to a lot of people's stuff, especially in the creative field, especially with me working on film stuff. I've seen a lot of my, you know, fellow editors and cinematographers have like portfolio sites. So that was really cool. So I very much appreciated that. But I mean, I'm just an outside perspective. So maybe within your guys' realm, like maybe, you know, doing something different is more preferable.
So I think that the approach of the magazine was really, really unique. And I definitely think it did help Eisner stick out. With that said, Casey, I very much agree that I was kind of struggling to actually like physically read this one.
Yeah.
I did not take any points off for that. I really didn't. But yeah, I could have used the pages to be, you know, or the text size to be a little bit. Eventually, I had to just kind of like read it on my phone, which wasn't ideal.
Yeah, right. It was definitely tough to read. Tiki, I'm actually going to go ahead and head out.
Oh yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, guys.
Goodbye.
See ya. Bye.
Okay. So yeah, Casey, anything that sticks out to you about this project? Obviously, I think it's a little bit more naturalistic than Team Chapek's project.
So, okay, so I have such mixed thoughts about this, in both very positive and negative ways. I do apologize if like I'm offending anyone. You know, I'm just obviously, I guess I'm here to critique. So, so first off, when I originally clicked on the link that took me to Eisner's team, you know, it was like, I was like, oh, I'm just being taken back to the forum page. And then I was like, oh, wait, hold on. All right, there's a commercial here. And, you know, the commercial, I love the idea of the commercial. You know, short and concise, gave us exactly kind of the overview that we needed. You know, not like the greatest thing in the world, but, you know, I don't hold it against anyone. You know, none of these people, I'm sure, are making commercials in real life. But I love it. It gave me this like nice, fresh overview. And then, not gonna lie, totally like over glanced the tourism magazine at first. And I started playing the music and I was like, what is this? And I'm like, okay, reading music. And I was like, oh, we got the magazine here. So I literally did leave that play in the background. And I started to go through the magazine, and I'm actually just going to pull up the magazine really quick. So, all right. So yeah, I mean, front page, nice and appealing, you know, like I'm like, okay, cool. We're getting, you know, the, you know, way of the water, essentially, you know, we're getting that whole idea. And then, you know, it shows that their staff, that what their team's based on. You had a lot of really nice sample pictures, and then it's like, or we had a sample picture, and then it's like, boom, what's inside? And I'm like, holy shit, all right, there's 38 plus pages. I'm curious how large this font is and how much reading there actually is. But I was like, all right, cool. Everything's broken down here. I guess, you know, if I need to jump to a certain point, I can just always type it in down at the bottom. And then I started to go through it, and I'm like, all right, cool. I could definitely see this magazine. So then once I'm like actually at the reading material, the first thing that actually like stuck out to me in terms of the presentation is the font. I really was not a fan of the font, which honestly, this might sound crazy, but like reading an I'm going to use the term unwelcoming font makes it even more difficult to read.
Yeah. I mean, they want to go with the papyrus, man. Papyrus is, you know, but I hear you.
But I mean, that is the thing. Like, so many people underestimate the use of a good font, and it really is true. Which I guess, like, in the reality of it, when in doubt, just like stick with like Arial or like Times New.
Sure.
Kind of can't go wrong. Not that maybe they're the best in every situation, but if you're not sure what to do, you kind of can't go wrong with those. So anyway, yeah, I looked at the first 2 pages. I could definitely supposed to tell that like you're opening up the magazine because you see the one half of Pandora versus the other. We get the screenshot from the second movie, and I'm like, all right, cool. I'm getting that. And then I hit the 6th page. And I'm like, oh my fucking God, please don't tell me I've got another like 30 some odd pages
And you do.
Of this. Well, actually, here's the thing. In one way, yes, we do. But then we go to the next page, we get the layout, and I'm like, all right, cool. Just like the first project, I have that layout. I can definitely see where what it's supposed to look like. But I think, like, for me, the point goes to Chapek, for actually having it laid over, so I could more visualize how they were actually using the land. But anyway, I really loved, I guess, I'm not going to go through this bit by bit because I'm sure nobody wants to necessarily hear that. It'd be kind of boring. But I very much, very, very, very much loved their reference photos.
Totally,
I think that was a huge positive for Eisner, a huge positive, including like the pre-show. I could literally just like imagine myself being in that room watching, him, trying to deliver his like broken English, I believe is how they described it, or something like that.
Okay, just to be clear, you haven't seen the video of this guy, have you?
No, I don't think.
Okay, it's not so much broken English; it's more so that this dude like stutters over his sentences in a very deliberate, kind of like actory sort of way.
So
he has a bunch of ums and you know what I mean?
I guess that's the Fly Guy part.
Yeah, exactly. Because his most memorable line is before you know it, you'll be connected to a banshee and fly. Almost kind of Goldblum-esque.
I guess I can imagine that a little bit more now that you say that.
But
yeah, I love, like I said, I love these reference photos. I think, getting the snippet of it shows me not only a sense of realism, but it allows me to have a starting place for me to imagine everything on my own. Or to imagine most of it on my own, I guess I should say. But I think another thing that really, really stands out is, and I would like to assume they created these diagrams themselves, but the diagrams of how the attractions will work, that was really impressive. Because like, I don't know what my perspective is supposed to be judging these. Am I supposed to be judging it as if I'm funding someone to create these parks? Or am I just like an outside person who's, taking a general interest?
Let's say you're a stockholder, Casey.
I guess the thing is,
basically the idea is that like these projects, they're very much meant to excite you on a personal level, but like it's not like you are the brass tacks, deciding if it should be built or not. But by the same token, we do take realism into consideration, and so I feel like that's where kind of like the shareholder sort of thing comes in, because if you're a shareholder and you hear a proposition for a project that you just do not think is going to go over well,
Yeah,
I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I think I have a better grasp on it then. So like, I feel like with all of that, if I'm supposed to kind of be, shareholder or whatever, and I need to know what's going to excite me and the general layout, that's where I would then say, or the general idea, that is actually where I would then say Eisner went into too much detail. But then, like I said, it's like, I love their diagrams. I love their reference photos. And I think, that works as a huge positive to contrast the potential negative in my mind. But then that's where I also give Team Chapek, the advantage or a point, because I feel like I'm getting the Cliff Notes version. It's just like, here's this, here's that, and here's general stuff. But if I wanted to know the full rundown, I feel like that's where these guys really excel in this magazine, because this magazine is very impressive. But like I said, I mean, we do have a number of pages where it's a lot of text and in a very unfavorable font.
Yeah. Let's see. I don't want to spend too much more time on it, Casey, because we are kind of running into an hour here, and also. I know that you are not all that familiar with just the actual, ins and outs of Disney attractions. So it's hard for you to like really give that much of a feedback on it. But what actual okay, so let me bring something up to you that I think was one of the things that I actually think Chapek did a little better. And that's that while I do really, really appreciate the fact that this land was very very serene and peaceful, and the tone of it was just vibes, right? The tone of it was just like, okay, we're gonna just like take that second hour of Avatar the Way of Water where they're just not doing anything, they're just swimming around with the whales, and we're basically gonna make a full movie or a full theme park land out of that.
You're referring to Eisner right now, you're saying?
Yeah, I'm talking about Eisner, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Whereas I feel with Chapek's project, because they had the roller coaster, I feel like their actual, it's interesting because I think that Eisner had the better overall project or better overall attractions, but I actually think that Chapek had the more balanced roster of attractions, given the fact that they had like a flat ride, they had the roller coaster, they had a more slow moving dark ride. And I guess for me, the main issue here is that we have the Omnimover dark ride through the lab, which is really cool. And then we also have the Gathering of Voices show, also really cool. My issue here, and I said this in my written feedback, is that I really feel like both of these concepts, though cool in their own way, I almost feel like they have the exact same kind of tone and vibe and energy to them, to the point where you almost really just need either one or the other, or to combine the two concepts somehow.
Well, you know what? For I feel like Chapek had, in a sense, theirs was the full package, but I feel like there's in my interpretation of it, because I feel like they had elements of both movies. There is not as much. It's not as well concentrated. I feel like it's even though it's the full package, it's a little too ambitious. And I feel like that would potentially turn me off if I am this shareholder. Whereas I feel like with Eisner, theirs is more concentrated. But I feel like I was a lot less engaged when I was reading.
Right. I hear you.
So I don't know. There are heavy pros and cons to both of them. I feel like it needs to potentially be more concentrated. I think I have a more general interest, and I feel like it creates a more year-long interest to do, to focus primarily on the scenery of the first film. Because I almost feel like, granted, yes, Florida is more humid, it's more hotter year round, but in Oceanside, resort, and I've never been to any of the Disney, so I could be wrong, but I feel like it would be more of your summer, late spring attraction.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like I said, there are pretty big pros and cons to both of them.
I don't know how you're going to feel about this, because I really appreciated it specifically because of how it kind of blurred the line between designing an attraction and designing a land. And I know that you're not as well versed about that kind of stuff, but one of the things I did really appreciate is that how they essentially made the village into an attraction in its own right. And yet the village felt like it wasn't this, obscure walking trail off to the side. It felt very much connected to the rest of the stuff.
No, I think I would agree with that.
And just in general, I just really love when Disney does like out in the open, small, simple animatronics, just chilling, not in rides or anything, just out in the open. I feel like it's one of Disney's specialties.
Yeah, see, I mean, like that's the thing. Like I said, or as you said, I'm not as familiar with that kind of stuff, so I don't actually have like a bias or preference towards one because I've never actually experienced it for myself. Although I would love to go to like something like Galaxy's Edge.
Yeah.
I'm a huge Star Wars fan, but yeah, I mean,
I have my issues with Galaxy's Edge, but we don't have to talk about that
now. Also, just because I see that you're actually on the page, that Play app I thought was actually a really cool, like additional feature.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So that was really cool.
Okay, well, Casey, I think I'm just going to go ahead and unless you have any other like overall things you want to bring up with this project, I think we'll go ahead and end it out here.
Let me just quickly thumb through the pages. I don't think so. I think I gave like the overall notes. I'm regardless of any sort of negatives I said about either of the teams, I am thoroughly impressed. Because honestly, I had no clue what these teams would bring forward, given that I have never been involved in any sort of game like this before. So regardless, kudos to both teams. This is absolutely impressive.
Cool. All right. Well, big thanks for coming on, Casey. Once again, I would like to thank both Theme Park Priest and Sorcerer's Apprentice for playing with us this season. Although your road this season ends here, you were both very, very good competitors. Priest especially. This was a very unfortunate circumstance that led to your elimination. And so I have Team Eisner's project brainstorming thread up and ready to go right now. I will have Chapek soon. And yeah, that's about it. See y'all later, everyone.
Bye.